Hi, I'm Amber Butchart. I've lived in London all of my adult life, but today I've come back to Lowestoft, a seaside town in Suffolk, just up the coast from where I grew up. Every summer, my brother and I would watch Punch and Judy on the beach, performed by our local Punch and Judy man, Professor Jingles. Professor Jingles has been a professional Punch and Judy man for over 50 years and has been making puppets from his home in Kessingland for over 30 years. He was even once the youngest Punch and Judy man in the country. This year, Mr. Punch celebrates his 350th birthday with an exhibition at the Viennese Museum of Childhood. Now, while Mr. Punch has quite a few centuries on me, I have found that the older I've got, the more intrigued I've become by this form of seaside entertainment that people constantly say is dying out. So to get some answers, I've come back here to speak to the man who piqued my interest all those years ago on the beach in Suffolk. So you started when you were 12?
After the war, they opened the beach up at Lowestoft, just down the road, and about 1947, 1948, and I went down there to visit some relatives. So we go down on Lowestoft Beach, and I'd never been to a beach. I mean, why everybody sitting on this funny stuff called sand looking at all this water? I didn't understand it, you know. And I then heard a squeak and a squawk. And there was the Punch and Judy man and the magician, there's a picture of him up there, doing a magic act at an event out on this little booth. And it was made out of corrugated iron, because you couldn't get wood during the war, but you could get corrugated iron because they made the shelters out of them.
Right.
And I was hooked. So by the time I was 12, my dad said, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I said, "Well, I'd like a Punch and Judy show." And so I had my Punch and Judy show at 12 years of age, and the newspapers all grabbed me, and there they called me the Boy Wonder.
Yeah.
The youngest Punch and Judy man in the world.
Yeah.
Start. That was it. The next year I was 13, and it was 1953. That's given my age away, isn't it? And it was the Queen's coronation.
Yeah.
And the street parties. And as I was on the television, by them days I was on the television. I was a regular on television.
At 13?
Yeah, 14, 15, 16. I was a regular.
Wow.
Cliff Mitchell-Moore and Sir Hugh Weldon had seen my potential because I was photogenic, you know, so they said. And so I went on there, and I was like the Philip Schofield of the day. Any programme, they've stuck me on it. But also at that time, I met possibly the best Punch and Judy man ever. His name was Percy Press.
I've seen his plaque at the Actors' Church.
He came from the streets, he did street magic. His Punch and Judy show was magic.
Yeah.
You know, and so he taught me, made me do the show like him. I never did it as good, and I'll tell you that I've been doing Punch and Judy for all those years, and I still could not match Percy. There was something magic about him, you know.
Yeah.
There's a thing called timing. Ask me what makes a good comedian. Timing. See? Yes. And I gradually built an act up that was a little bit sort of cheeky, and I can pick on people. You know, someone sitting in the audience, that lovely lady there. No, the lovely lady behind you. You know, what made you think you was? You can have your hair done today. I should go tomorrow. But, so this was good. You know, it's a good fun. We've got to go back to this thing called commedia dell'arte, which is simply comedy and masks. Let's go back first of all, really, to the Italians. The Italians are great for drama. That's where it all kicked off. So we've got a stock of characters here. Harlequin, Joseph Grimaldi, Joey the Clown. The policeman would perhaps be in the show. There's Punchinello. There's his wife Judy, or Joan as he's called. This is the start of pantomime. Now in 1662, Mr. Punch, Punchinello, was a marionette. And they brought him into Covent Garden, London, where they had this marionette theatre, and there might have been 9 operators, perhaps a band even, an orchestra, to put on this pantomime. And Punchinello was one of the characters. Now, that was 1662. Samuel Pepys went to Covent Garden, saw the show, loved it. In 1823, an Italian, Giovanni Pacini, decided that he wanted to do a one-man show. So he turned Punch into a glove puppet. So we got rid of the strings And here we got Punch as a glove puppet on his hand. Now we could have great fun, because he could now carry a real slapstick, have a wife, have a baby, and gradually everybody that come up he'd get rid of. When the trains started to take people to the seaside, people got on the beach, the Punch and Judy man thought, here's a good job for me, I can earn some money. And that's how I first saw the Punch and Judy show, on the beach at Lowestoft. Every seaside resort had the Punch and Judy man.
I wanted to ask you about your name, Professor Jingles, as well. Did you come up with that?
Well,
when you
every
first
Punch and
started?
Judy man is called Professor. It's a quack doctor thing. Do you know one in America, the man that went round selling the the medicine?
Elixir.
Elixir.
Yeah.
Elixir. Does he? No, Elixir. That's so he goes around, said it, and he was always called Professor so-and-so, Professor. So the Punch and Judy man thought, oh, that's a good sort of title, Professor. You know, it goes well with the image of the Punch and Judy man with his top hat on, and you know.
Yeah.
Now, I, as a kid, played the piano. And I used to make up little things on the piano, and my aunts used to say to me, oh, it's jingling again. So I became Jingles.
Right.
And when I went to school, I was Jingles, never Nobby Clarke, because all Clarks are called Nobbies.
Why?
I don't know. I wish it was the reason which I thought, but it wasn't. So you're making me laugh now. You get me going. Don't put some of this down. You'll get a sack. But all Nobbies are called Nobby Clarks.
Right.
And Styles, if your name's Styles, you can be called Nobby Styles as well. It's just one of those things. Anyway, I was called Jingles. Now, before I went into the Air Force, I thought, oh, crumbs, good job, I'm going to lose this name. I'm going in the Air Force. No one will know me. And I got on Bedford Station to go to Cardigan for my square bashing, which is drill,
Right.
Air Force drill. And somebody on the station went, Jingles, you old so-and-so. And I went, oh, no. Anyway, so it was Jingles. So when I came out of the Air Force, I thought, oh, well, perhaps I better stick with it. I'll be Professor Jingles.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, so that was it. There's been a few people trying to nick the name, one or two have nicked the name, you know, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm sort of pretty easy about it, you know.
Yeah.
But,
I had no idea that Jingles predated your Professor days.
definitely. I mean, from what? 7, I was called Jingles.
Right.
Nobody, Brian, I mean, I've even forgot my own name at times. Just got to put my swazzle in. You might want the Punch voice.
So you can talk normally with it in as well?
Well, yeah, of course you can. When you're eating a boiled sweet.
Oh, yeah, I
You know?
suppose so, yeah.
When you're making love, you can talk, can't you? When you're busy with your mouth full of... These are the gags coming out now. Oh.
Very good. You just do what?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a funny life, isn't it? Right.
And you mentioned before as well about you like being really important in terms of like smartening up the image of the Punch and Judy Man.
Well, the Punch and Judy Man series was a little man with a case of puppets, waistcoat with the buttons off, a suit out, a sort of Oxfam. He didn't have much money. He didn't earn much money. He'd go to a park and put his booth up and bottle for his money. So, you know, and he had a family to bring up. So, you know, they weren't what you would call immaculate.
Yeah.
And I used to notice this, and I said to John Starrs once, I said, you know, the image is pretty dowdy. So I said, I think we ought to do something about this. So we both went out and bought all the decent clothes. And gradually we had a competition with each other. He'd dress up and I'd dress up, and she had the best coat and suit on and the tie. We always made sure we went out looking like the dog's dinner. And so we became that, and people would know us, you know. And so even on a boiling hot day, we'd be there with our tuxedos on and our bow ties and our shiny patent shoes. But that was the image.
Yeah.
Because others then decided, whoops, we better do something about our image. And so it's good. And now a lot of the Punch and Judy men are immaculate,
Yeah.
I have to say. So perhaps we did something, you know.
Yeah.
This is a punch head coming.
Yeah.
It has to have the nose and the chin put on separate, because the grain of the wood, you'd break it off.
Right.
Because the grain's going this way, it won't break off. And also it cuts out an awful lot of... to make a punch head just out of one block, I'd be like 2 or 3 days. I've done that this morning.
Yeah.
As you see, it's not finished. It's got to have its ears on yet, made out of plywood so they don't break. It's hollowed out on the top to make it a bit lighter. That's covered over.
Yeah.
And then this is now got to be all shaped again. To get the punches like you saw upstairs, that's all got to be shaped again. The neck's got to be done. And then it has to be painted, rubbed down, cleaned up, filled with perhaps plastic wood. And then it has to be undercoated, rubbed down, undercoated, rubbed down. And then you get that good finish that I get on the punch. Because you're selling stuff.
Yeah.
They don't want a tatty old punch. You know. And then because it's got to be fairly hard, because they've got to bash it about.
Yeah.
It's a slapstick comedy. That's called a riffler.
Riffler?
Yeah, that's a riffler. It's file. All different shaped files.
And so is it for doing different...
Well, yes, if you've got like you want like these, this is going to have a big crease marks on his head. I would actually riffle this out and it would grind them out, sort of thing. So sometimes I haven't really got a carving, but mainly your carving tools are half round, a ½ inch, and a big one. And these are the tools for the lathe, because you do a certain amount of work that cuts down an awful lot of work.
What's your favourite kind of puppet to make?
Oh, marionettes, the string puppet, all those little intricate joints, and to see them come alive and do their tricks. I've got a chair balancer who balances the chairs. You know, I've got a skeleton that all comes apart, all the bones of the head flies up in the air. But making those is something. It's different from making Punch and Judy puppets. You know, they're made completely. They're made to last forever. A marionette is quite delicate. Once upon a time, all Punch and Judy men used to do hands above head.
Right. That must be difficult.
That is very hard. A lot of Punch and Judy men would die in early ages. It was killer. I was working in a holiday camp, and my perspiration was just dripping off me. I'd come home absolutely soaking wet. So I went to the doctors, and I saw the doctor, and I said, you know, should I be perspiring like this? You know, I know. So I told her what I was doing, and this lady doctor said, well, I don't think that's very clever. Hands in your head, shouting your head off for 20 minutes in a hot holiday camp, she said. How long do you want to live?
Yeah.
She said, have you got another way of doing it? I said, well, I can stand on my hands and do it with my feet. So I then realised that there was another way of doing it. And that was to bring my hands down.
Yeah.
Now this is comfortable.
Yeah.
Look through the scenery and also see out of the opening.
Right.
So now I could see the children and the adults, and I'm also comfortable here. I started to do this.
Yeah.
And so other Punch and Judy went, that's fantastic. We can actually see out. So if Mary or Joey stands up in the audience, one of the characters say, sit down, we didn't tell you to stand up. The kid would sit down in a flash.
Yeah,
Plus if anybody was being naughty, we could, and if the adults weren't laughing, I could pick on the adults. That lady there with the red top on, have you seen the show? You laugh sometime and I don't want to spoil the mood you're in. So it was great. I mean, puppets can do things that adults can't do. You know, especially marionettes. Witches can fly on broomsticks. Clowns can jump up the air. Skeletons can come apart with all their bones going over. You know, you can do it perhaps with computerised animation, but the puppet can do it on itself.
And out of all the different kinds of shows you've done, from the beachfront to sort of birthday parties and children's parties, which were your favourite when you were entertaining?
Theatres. I love being on that stage.
Yeah.
Southwold Summer Theatre, Albury Summer Theatre. I've been on big stages. As a kid growing up and being on the cinema stages, they were quite big.
Yeah.
And it was, I like this. Got an audience sitting there, waiting for you, saying, come on then, entertain me. What a challenge. Come on, entertain me. And you hear comedians, people say comedians are pretty sort of miserable people. It's a hard job to go out there and try and make people laugh, you know.
Have you ever been, or are you a member of the Magic Circle?
I've been a member of everything to do with entertainment, and I've been on their committees and their presidents and their chairmen, and then I get off.
Right.
Nowadays, I only belong to one club, and that's the British Puppet Model Theatre Guild, and the Punch and Judy has 2 clubs. I've come out the rest. I've done them all. I've done my time. And I'm not going to particularly do that sort of work again, so I've done it. But yeah, I suppose they know me.
Yeah.
You know, but and they're wonderful people.
Yeah.
But they've got to. I also like changing. You know, I was chairman of the Norwich Puppet Theatre on the board of directors. I did it for long enough.
Yeah.
And then I thought, no, time to move on.
Yeah.
You've got to move on, haven't you?
Yeah.
I'll change the wife next week. Well, if I die tomorrow, someone's going to pick up one of my puppets and say that's a Brian Clarke. So it's a good thing to go on. I'm not worried about the fame, but it's nice to think that my figures are out there earning people tons of money. It's great, you know? I think I would have to say my big career highlight was the postage stamps.
Yeah.
To go on a postage stamp, you know, it was the first time anybody's licked Punch's backside. What could be better than that? To be on something which everybody sort of uses, don't they?